Joining us now is Ojy Okpe with stories trending around the world. Ojinika.
Good morning, Dr. Bati. I knew you were going to call my full name. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Great. Good morning, Adeswa.
Good morning, Ojy.
I love your outfit. Were you inspired?
I love your fuchsia. We should do a switch.
Is it fuchsia?
I think it's fuchsia.
Okay,
Looks like pink to me.
Well, okay, pink.
Anyway,
I wish Tundu was here.
is
She would
not
have
here.
told us.
Tundu is the one who knows all the colors.
She knows her colors.
Well, good morning, Rufai.
I mean, Ojy, this looks like red oxide. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Your word.
Don't worry, we'll check with Tundu. I'm sure she's watching.
You're glowing and you're great, Ojy.
Thank you.
That's what's most important.
Well, I guess we have to go on a break
Yes.
before we start what's trending.
Yes, we're
Do
going to
stay
take a
with
break.
us.
Welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News channel. Ojy Okpe is here with stories trending around the world. Ojy Okpe.
Thank you, Dr. Abati. Well, let's begin what's trending. First, in the United States, President Joe Biden has appointed another Nigerian into his cabinet. And in France, President Emmanuel Macron held up an umbrella for Slovakian leader Igor Matovic and refused to give it up, even when an aide offered to relieve him. Well, in Nigeria, tech giant Facebook blocks the account of the indigenous peoples of Biafra's leader, Nnamdi Kanu, after a live broadcast on Tuesday. In Kano State, the Hispa Corps has arrested a barber for allegedly giving his customers haircuts which are offensive to the Islamic faith. Finally, in Edo State, women trooped out to the streets on Wednesday to protest alleged herders' attack.
Women coming out en masse to say no to Fulani herdsmen. No to rape. No to family brutalization.
Well, let's start in the United States, where President Joe Biden has appointed another Nigerian into his cabinet. Nigerian-born Titilayo Ebong was appointed the acting director of the U.S. Trade and Development Agency. Ms. Ebong has served in different capacities as general counsel, deputy director, and chief operating officer at the agency for 15 years. From there, she moved to serve as the head of strategic partnership at the Milken Center for Advancing the American Dream. Now, with her new role, she's expected to lead the agency in partnering with the country's private sector to develop sustainable infrastructure and foster economic growth in emerging economies. This is a huge deal for Nigeria at this point. This is the fourth Nigerian that President Joe Biden has appointed into his cabinet. Only the other day we talked about Adewale Wali. We call him Wali, but his name is Adewale Adeyemo, who Joe Biden appointed as the Assistant Secretary of Treasury. We also had a COVID-19 policy advisor, Osaremen Okolo, and we had Fumi, who is the Associate White House Counsel. Yes, I knew you were going to help me out with that name. We had Fumi just recently appointed as the Associate White House Counsel, and now we have Ms. Titilayo. We are so excited that, there's this whole inclusiveness in Joe Biden's cabinet, and Nigerians are taking the lead.
Indeed. I mean, congratulations are in order. I can't say it enough that Nigerians, they shine bright, like the president said during the 60th anniversary, like diamonds all over the world. But I'd like to add that especially when given the right environment, we've seen that over time and time again. This is a familiar terrain for her. She's been in the agency, like you rightly said, since 2004. So there's no doubt that she will deliver. She grew up in Lagos, we heard, so she's very in touch with her roots. And she's also inspired to work in the civil service by her father, who also worked in the Nigerian civil service as the PAM secretary at the Ministry of Economic Development and Reconstruction. So I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Absolutely.
I'm happy for her, and I wish her the best of luck.
Yes.
Well, I like the way we are excited all the time when persons with Nigerian ancestry connection are given appointments. But I keep making the point that do they identify as Nigerians? They do well in the United States because they are also, again, American citizens, and they've been chosen on the basis of their distinction. But I guess, of course, they will not deny their heritage, where they come from. Now, this particular appointment is very instructive at many levels. One, this is again another demonstration of the diversity of President Joe Biden's team. He has perhaps the most diverse team that we have seen in recent times within the American presidency. He has used, those positions to make America look inclusive. And that, again, is a throwback, I guess, a response to the kind of government that you had in the United States under President Donald Trump. Now, yes, Adesua made the point that she's not new to the U.S. Trade Development Agency. She was a deputy director there. She rose to become the chief operating officer. So she knows the territory very well. What does that agency, what does it do? It promotes American jobs, American goods, American services. And when she was chief operating officer, she was able to set up, units across the world in about 30 countries with about 125 experts reporting directly to her. And under her watch, we were told that in terms of return on investments, she did much better than the previous tenure. She left as chief operating officer, and she went on to become the executive leader at the Making Institute for Greater American Awareness, also again promoting America. So that's why I say she's essentially an American. And this position, I assume, she's been rewarded for past performance, for distinction, for excellence. She has a Juris Doctor from the Michigan University. She has another degree from University of Pennsylvania in communications. She has a master's in history from Scotland, from a university in Scotland. So she's well educated, she's well groomed, she has the experience. And what we see here, what should be the source of inspiration in all of these examples, whether it's Wale Adeyemo or Misokolo or Fumi Olorunnipa Badejo, when you look at their profiles, these are not just people that they just picked by the roadside. These are very distinguished professionals.
Yes.
And we have many of them in the United States who are excelling. So the inspiration for younger Nigerians, wherever they may be, either at home or in the United States, is that hard work pays. Excellence can be rewarded. And that if you are good and you can add value, you will get recognition. And we want to thank President Biden for bringing up this lady who again promotes his principle of diversity. And she herself promoted diversity when she was in charge of this same USTDA. And she was commended for being a people-oriented person and somebody who has an abiding faith in the idea of diversity. Now she's been rewarded for that, in a sense, and for her competence.
All right. Rufai, before I come to you, I'd love to take another story so you can discuss the story. On Wednesday, tech giant Facebook blocked the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, from its media platform after a live broadcast which has caused outrage from the group that has been outlawed by the federal government of Nigeria for alleged treasonable offenses. The group's spokesperson, Emma Powerful, in a statement, accused the social media company of partnering with perpetrators of human rights abuses and conniving with the Nigerian government to suppress the truth. Rufai, your take on this story?
I mean, two quick stories. Let me start with the Facebook story. Facebook has policies, and if you violate the policies, they'll block you. We fail to realize a lot of times that these social media sites own their sites, and they'll tell you. I think we don't take the pain to read through the legal terms and conditions. We just say, I agree, and we just click on I agree. Embedded in there, you'll see that they have full rights. And that's why when there was a contestation as what they did at President Trump on Twitter, I looked at a lot of people that these people reserve the right for their platform. It's not by force. You might choose to join them or not join them. You might usually create another platform or not create another platform. And Facebook has an editorial board to that effect, that they review content, and if they deem it fit, they'll block. It's just like when Facebook went the whole hog about political advertisements, seeing what happened, in the last elections in 2016 in America. But they took a stand on political advertisement based on what happened with Cambridge Analytica, and they got better from that. So you can make a case, they can make a case with Facebook or they can create their own platform. There's a democracy of platforms all over the world as we speak today. But Facebook will do what it deems fit to its platform. It will protect its platform. I'm not speaking for Facebook. I'm not taking sides on this matter. But let's not forget, Facebook owns the platform in the end. And Nigerian journalists, please stop spinning it. It's not Mark Zuckerberg that's banning, because that was the story first making the rounds. It's not Mark Zuckerberg. There's an editorial board.
All right, Rufai, I'd have to interrupt you there because we have to go on a short break. When we return, we'll continue on this conversation. You stay with us.
Well, welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News channel. We're still on What's Trending with Ojy Okpe. Well, the point Rufai was making, the key point is about community standards. All these platforms, they have community standards, and Facebook has what they call community standards. Under those standards, they set out a set of rules as to what is allowed and what is not allowed. And the basic rule is that, look, before you use these platforms, you think before you post. A lot of people use those platforms not realizing that there are standards, that if you violate them, then you will be sanctioned. And those standards are guided by a number of principles. They want to protect their technology. They are protecting public safety. They are looking at human rights. They also, at the same time, want to give you the opportunity to express yourself and also make sure that you don't constitute danger to other people. Now, Facebook, this is not the first time they will enforce the rules. We had the famous example of Twitter, right? Enforcing the rules against a whole president. In fact, Twitter even came up with a rule against Trump and Jair Bolsonaro of Brazil. But what is the allegation against Nnamdi Kanu? I think on Tuesday, he posted a video about the Fulani herdsmen, farmers' crisis in Nigeria, particularly the crisis in the southeastern part of Nigeria, where the Eastern Security Network has been involved in conflict, and the governors have had to say they were reiterating the ban on open grazing in the southeastern part of Nigeria. Well, within the rules, Facebook must have considered some of the things said by Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of IPOB, provocative, because he was labeling Fulani herdsmen, which is the famous phrase, although nobody talks about Igbo 419, nobody talks about Edo prostitutes, nobody talks about Yoruba, DNA violators, but we label the herdsmen, we say they are Fulanis. Fine. That's the reality we have found ourselves in. And then they went further in that video also to attack the Nigerian government and accuse the Nigerian government. So the managers of those community standards must have resolved that this is provocative, this is insensitive, this will violate certain rules, and hence, they acted. But the thing, of course, is that when they ban you or they remove you, it's not permanent. After a while, you can be reinstated. So I'm sure Facebook will restore Nnamdi Kanu's account at a later date. But the thing is for the user to be careful, for the buyer to beware. That's the caveat emptor.
All right, let's take another story. Nigerian journalist Aisha Salehudeen, in a series of tweets on Wednesday, narrated her ordeal after an immigration officer berated her for not changing her last name after marriage on her passport. Aisha said while trying to renew her passport, the female officer handling her case treated her harshly and asked her why she hadn't changed her last name and state of origin to that of her husband. In a tweet, Aisha expressed disappointment over what she described as discrimination against women in Nigeria who have to fight to keep their identity. Now, Adeswa, let me call you out here. I know you're not married.
Hello.
Not married yet.
Hello.
Yes. But go ahead. This is our
Adeswa is single and...
No, she's not searching. Leave her alone. Are you searching? Really? Okay. What happens here? I mean, we see these types of situations, especially, in our country where people look at you if you choose to keep your family name, or if even after you divorce your husband, you choose to keep your husband's name. It's always frowned upon, and women have to just fight to show. I mean, I think that this story is a story that would create awareness to this situation that we face here as women in Nigeria.
It's stereotyping, it's profiling,
Yes.
it's nasty, Ojy. And it's a shame on that female officer.
And she was a female
This
officer,
is a
yes.
female officer to another woman. The decision to change your name or to leave a name is between you and who is involved. In
Yes.
this instance, I think it's between Aisha and her husband.
Yes.
A lot of journalists, a lot of people decide to keep their names for different reasons. You do not know Aisha's reason for doing that, and it is not your business. Mind your business. It is a toxic behavior we see in society where people think that, because they are in a position, they know about everything about your life and they can decide what you should do and what you should not do. The last I checked, the responsibility of the Nigerian Immigration Service is to control persons entering or leaving Nigeria. It is to issue travel documents to bona fide Nigerians in and outside the country. It's the issuance of residence permits to foreigners in Nigeria. It is not to decide whether I should keep a name or to drop it. It is a nasty behavior. Shame on her.
Really. Rufai, please, your take on this story.
It's very sad that in 2021, we still live in a society that uses every means to bring a woman down. Every means possible. Still in this country, some women are not accepted in some restaurants except if they have a man coming with them. A woman can't go to a restaurant to have a fancy restaurant to have a meal in this country. She must have somebody, a man with her. Every means possible, society tries to bring women down. I mean, what is it in the name? Why must even my wife take my name in the first place? We have Olu Jacobs and Joke Silva living in peace and harmony. The world has not ended. Does it make them love themselves less? Does it make the man love you more when you take his name? So let's just come out plainly that we're a society that doesn't support women. We denigrate women. We are hypocritical when it comes to anything a woman. Let's come out straight. Because for a customs or an immigration officer to have that priority, he didn't even ask for her NIN number. All he was concerned was her name. Then you see the way it goes round. And you see there are a lot of people that dabble into business that doesn't concern them. What is the woman's name got to do with you doing your job? It speaks volumes as a nation. And we can't say we are a nation, a forward-thinking nation, if we don't respect women in our society. Because this so-called independence we have, women fought for it. The likes of Olufunmilayo Ransom Kuti were part of those that fought for this same independence. I don't see the reason why her face should not be on any national currency in this country. This same independence we have, women fought for it. But then, when they were fighting in the trenches for independence, they were freedom fighters. But afterwards, now we know they're women.
Well,
Right.
Let's call it spade a spade in this country.
Yes, Dr. Abati.
The key issues involved here has to do with one, identity.
Correct.
What is the identity of a Nigerian woman? Because they questioned her, the immigration officials questioned her on two grounds. One, they said she's not bearing her husband's name. So if you are married, why are you not bearing your husband's name?
Do your business.
Second, they questioned her state of origin. She must have filled the form. And another immigration official said, why are you not claiming your husband's state of origin?
Origin,
all of this is coming from the primordial, customary, perception that a woman in Nigeria is a chattel. Once you are married, you are considered the man's property in many Nigerian communities. Even some religions also say you are a property. So the people, those immigration officials who were reacting to Aisha Salahuddin, what they saw was not Aisha Salahuddin as a human being who has rights in her own, who has her own rights. They were seeing her as the property of a man And all of this is coming also from the perception in Nigeria and in many African cultures that a woman is inferior to a man, or that the female is not as important. And we have many books on this. Buchi Emechita, she wrote The Slave Girl. She wrote Bride Price, right? Talking about how women are not regarded. Sisi Dangarambenga from Zimbabwe wrote Nervous Conditions, also talking about how women are dehumanized in Africa. That's another example from outside Nigeria. But it's good that this woman is speaking up. And I think the thing is for women to assert their rights. The second issue is about equality in marriage. Now, the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights insists that women are equal partners in marriage. Nigeria is also signatory to the Convention against discrimination against women. Now, but we don't apply these laws because here in Nigeria, we have gender discriminatory laws. The other day, we talked about a soldier who got pregnant because she's a woman. She was to be expelled from the military. We talked about a police woman
yes.
Who got pregnant after,
because she was not married.
After 6 months. And they said, no, you can't get married. You can't have pregnancy, outside wedlock.
Yeah.
The Inspector General of Police, by the way, that's an unfinished business for him, although he's still hanging on to that position. We thought it would have been something he would deal with expeditiously. So it's about equality in marriage. But I think the important thing is for women to stand up. And there is case law in that regard. Mujeku versus Mujeku, one customary practice in a community in the eastern part of Nigeria. High Court of Enugu, I think 1993. The woman went to court and said she has rights.
Absolutely.
And she won the case. There's also the Monoku case. So it's for women to assert their rights, but culture is very strong, it's very resilient. Even some people that I know, they are still bearing their husbands' names, because they also know how strong culture is and how resilient culture is, and they have not returned their bride price. But that's inside baseball. I don't want to go there.
All right, we'll move on. But the strength of a woman, you cannot underestimate it, can you? Well, we'll take our final story in Edo State, Nigeria, where women took to the streets on Wednesday to protest against the activities of herders in the state. The women accused the herdsmen of being responsible for the various atrocities in Uromi, in Asian local government area of the state. In their numbers, the women demanded the immediate eviction of herders from the area, claiming that they could no longer go to their farms for fear of being raped and killed by the herders who allow their cows graze on their crops. While in a video that is circulating on social media, protesters could be heard shouting, "Fulani must go," as they blocked major roads in the town. Well, this cry needs to be addressed as soon as possible. We are seeing this story coming up everywhere in various states across the country at this point. I mean, these women are complaining. They're saying that their children are being raped, their sons are being killed, their farms are being, invaded. I mean, it's really ridiculous at this point, and I thought that I should raise awareness to their cry.
I salute the courage of these women. It's a story we all hear. I think there's not one person that has been affected directly or indirectly by this insecurity, this challenge of farmer herders crisis. I hear stories from my aunties, my cousins back at home, how their farms are being invaded, crops are destroyed, and there's an impact. There's a ripple effect this has on the economy, on the livelihoods of people back home.
Yes.
And even for us in the cities who have to then make up, but it's a security challenge that we need to fix. And I hope that it doesn't fall on deaf ears.
No, thank you guys.
Well,
this is all I have for you guys on
You're
What's Trending
absolutely
today.
correct. The only thing is that I was checking that video. I was looking for you there.
She's
because you're also an Edo woman.
Okay. My protest is here.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Abati. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.